Hello, this is Don Hall. I'm in the studio with Cathi Newlin here in Sacramento, California. This is Don Hall Works YouTube channel, and we're going to see a video today. Cathy's going to talk about new technologies that she's using in her studio.
Yeah.
Say hello, Cathi.
Hello. Well, I thought I'd talk to you today about new technologies that you might be hearing about and feeling a little intimidated about, but that might be helpful for you in your studio. Ways that you can use different technologies to, to kind of benefit you with what you're working on. I'm going to be talking about 3D printers. I'm going to be talking about laser etching, and I'm going to be talking about technologies that can help you turn your designs into things that you can then make your own stamps, make your own cutters, just kind of help you out in the studio. I'd like to start with 3D printers. When I talk about 3D printing, I'm not talking about 3D printing with clay printers. I'm talking about a basic 3D printer that everybody seems to be using these days. They run from $200 on up to the thousands of dollars. My own system starts at the very low basic intro level. My printer is an entry-level printer by Creality, which is one of the most popular entry-level printers. One of the reasons it's entry-level is that it's do-it-yourself. You have to assemble it yourself. It's open source, so you get the basics. You can set it up and you can print on it, but there are add-ons that you can either make, 3D print, or purchase that are going to make that whole thing a lot easier. It didn't take very long, maybe 45 minutes for me to assemble it. It took a little bit of time for me to learn how to use it. You may wonder why you want or could use a 3D printer in your studio, and are not sure what it can do for you. 3D printers can use a variety of materials, some of which incorporate metals into them, some of which are very flexible. There's a lot of potential there. One thing people do that I did is you can do things like print a rib. You can design your own ribs if you want a particular shape. You can download ribs that somebody else has designed and print those. This one is made from a flexible material, so you can design things just for you. Tools are great. You can design your own tools. Something else you might want to do is design your own, clay cutters. You can design clay cutters. You can take a clay cutter that somebody else has made, a cookie cutter that somebody else has made, and modify it to meet your own needs. Maybe you want to shrink it down. Maybe you want to elongate it. You can do all of those very easily in the software that is available for free with a 3D printer, and then create your own cutters. So you can produce, exactly what you want to produce without having to spend a lot of money. One thing I use my 3D printer a lot for is printing sprig molds and molds to incorporate onto some of the wares that I do. A lot of my pieces use add-ons that I create a mold for, and then I can just clamp it on and create particular pieces. But on this piece, you'll notice also that I've used 3D printing to actually print some of the parts for it. And 3D printing materials come in a variety of shimmers and have a lot of different surface effects. So you can incorporate it that way. Textures. You can do all different kinds of things. You can do things like I printed some special holders for all of my underglazes so that They're easy for me to get. I can add in onto it as I get new underglazes, and it was very easy to do. Another thing that I printed was little points. So when I go to spray a piece of pottery, I can put it up and, you know, so you can use it as tools around the studio, not just things to embellish your actual pots or your actual work, but things to help you out in the studio. Another thing that I've done is I've taken and printed a 3D model of something that I want to turn into a piece of art. Once I do that, then I can create a plaster mold from that. And this is just a press mold that I created from a 3D printed head. So it goes from this to a plaster mold, and once that's done, then I can use that to create a blank that I can then embellish and you know, add on to and create pieces of art. That's one of my favorite things is I love my old, you know, bat system. This particular one they don't make the inserts for anymore, and so if something happens to one of my inserts, I'm kind of screwed. But I can 3D print them and make more inserts, as many as I need. That's what I'm printing right now on the 3D printer over there, is another one of these inserts. So there's a lot of things you can do. What I'd like to tell you about 3D printing is at an entry level are about $200 from Amazon.com. You can get upgrades. Most of the upgrades that you would get total to about $100. So it's very economical to do. The filament that the printer uses run about $20 for a spool, and the spool lasts a long time. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about was laser etching. And again, that's probably something that sounds very daunting and very intimidating. It's really not. If you've ever worked with a die cutter like a Cricut machine, this is way easier. So let's talk about that. My laser etcher is a module that I actually bought for my second 3D printer. The module was about $80 to put onto a $200 3D printer. So it wasn't very expensive to do. It certainly wasn't difficult to do. It's a little small, but it's working for me. I'm going to show you, it's very easy. It hooks up to my laptop computer, and it's very intuitive. And so I'm just going to start it up here, and you can see how it goes. The laser engraver is an interesting addition to my studio. It doesn't do a lot of things, but what it does adds just an amazing amount of possibilities to clay. The first thing is you can create custom stamps, and you can create those stamps in wood and use them to impress clay. It works really well. You can make these stamps as deep as you like. You can make them any size you like. You can design whatever stamp you want and then use it to very quickly make your own library. You can also make these stamps in rubber. This stamp I etched in rubber, in a special rubber that's made for laser engravers. This is nice because you can use it with ink, you could use it with underglazes. I didn't go very deep on this stamp because I was practicing, but you could go much deeper and make a much better impression with this stamp. I like using these on clay. And a rubber stamp is particularly nice for round surfaces. And you just rock it in, and it creates a really nice impression in the clay. Please also note that I needed a base for this, and I just 3D printed one that matched the stamp, and I can do that in a variety of sizes. So there you can manage both of those technologies. Another thing you could do is a texture map, or a texture mat. This is a very small version of one, but as big as your laser cutter is, you can create all kinds of texture mats. And again, I just printed a nice little rocker on my 3D printer so that I can You know, instead of putting it flat, I can rock it back and forth. So the last technology I wanted to tell you about is pen capturing, capture pens, smart pens. I know Apple makes some. I'm not an Apple person. I use a Wacom bamboo tablet and pen. The nice thing about this is that you can use the pen to draw your own designs. And when you're drawing, your strokes and your drawings are being captured digitally. What this allows is for you to then take that file that you've created digitally and turn it into a custom stamp or a custom 3D printed mold or sprig mold or cookie cutter if you wanted. And you could do your own things and your own designs instead of having to go out on the internet and look for stuff somebody else has made. You're perfectly capable of doing your own stuff. A Wacom tablet starts at about $89. All of the stuff in my studio is very affordable. And I found some really interesting ways to use it in the studio and ways that I didn't expect to be able to use it. You should definitely give this stuff a try if you're at all curious. There are a lot of resources on the internet, on Facebook. There are some good books that you can actually hold in your hands if you're that kind of person. And it gives you new ways to add more of your own creativity instead of somebody else's creativity into your work. So don't be afraid. You already did clay, so you've done the hardest part. That's all I got.
Hey, thank you so much, Cathi. That was really, really informative. And the message I got is, hey, anybody can do this. Just don't be afraid. Go ahead and do it.
Don't
Try
be afraid. You've done clay. You know how to fail. You know how to experiment. So do it. And if you have any questions, I'm on Facebook. I'm on, Instagram, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, you can always make comments on
the
YouTube, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can.
Yeah.